what I tell people is so many agents are afraid to make any mistakes that they don't do anything. And listen, Jeff, if it's not illegal or lethal, do it.
Welcome to In the Blue Zone, the real estate marketing podcast where difference makers and influencers from around Coldwell Banker discuss how to enjoy success, find inspiration, earn more money, and have fun building a business.
Hi, welcome to In the Blue Zone with your host, Jeff Geoghan, Betsy, Stecz, and Madison, Purvey of the Coldwell Banker Realty marketing team here in Central Pennsylvania and Philadelphia. Guys, it's our first episode. I'm very excited.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too.
I've been excited since since we first brainstormed this whole podcast idea. I'm excited to see all the guests that we have. I know that we have a bunch of awesome people in store.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And we had, for the listeners' sake, we have been doing a coffee talk for a couple of years now, and that's available on stream as well. We may even link to that in the show notes if you're interested. And the coffee talks were call-ins with agents, featuring a lot of fun guests and topics. And we just decided to go and do more. If you go back and listen to our episode 0 on the stream channel, you'll hear a bit more about how we're going to do this going forward. But, this is not our first rodeo. We're very excited to do this in a more concise format for you listening wise. And we want to get your feedback. So make sure to comment in these episodes as we put them up on Microsoft Stream and elsewhere. And be sure to sign up for the email distro so that you get the email we send out whenever a new episode comes out, which will be very often. So before we get to today's guest, we have several great interviews lined up already. And today's guest is a very special one. And his name is Sean Carpenter. He's from Coldwell Banker Realty in Ohio, although he's kind of a child of the entire Coldwell Banker network because he's been in many places over the years, and a lot of people know him from GenBlue and other places where he speaks. So I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I know, Betsy, you have experience with Sean because he was on a coffee talk with us a while back, a year or so ago. And we've had him in town here in Philadelphia as well to do speaking. So, and I've known him for many years, as we'll talk about in the interview. So, Madison, I think you're meeting him for the first time, so that's kind of exciting.
I'm excited, but you guys have only said good things about him, so I'm excited to see what he has to say.
Of all the people in CB that lives up to the hype, Sean Carpenter lives up to the hype.
Yeah,
so
it's true.
Without further ado, let's jump to the interview, guys. All right, we're here with Sean Carpenter from Ohio, all the way from Ohio. And we wanted to introduce you to him. We're very excited for you to get to know him. And if you haven't seen him in a while, but you do know him, this will be a chance to catch up with Sean. Here with Betsy and Madison. And Sean, welcome.
Thanks, guys. Good to see you. Happy New Year. Hopefully your 2022 is off to an amazing start.
So far, so good. It's February already. It's hard to believe. Where's this? It's like literally the year is flying by. So we have this format that we do for our interviews called Something Old, Something New, Something Barred, and Something Blue. Since this is the Blue Zone podcast, it makes a lot of sense. Of course, we love the blue part of that. But we wanted to start off, Sean, by just tell us a little bit about who you are. What's your situation in life?
Sounds good. So I'm Sean Carpenter. I live in Columbus, Ohio. Born in Billings, Montana, but ended up here in Columbus when my dad started teaching at The Ohio State University. So mom still lives in the house we grew up in. After graduating high school, I went off to school at University of Florida. I wanted a big school in the South because I'm not a big fan of cold weather. After graduating, I became a golf pro. I was a golf pro for 3 years, then became a beer salesman, moved back to Columbus, worked for the Miller & Coors distributor here in town. Called on all parts of the city, guys, but I eventually landed at the Ohio State campus selling beer. So if you're ever going to sell beer, pick a spot where there's 45,000 students. And that's a really, really good spot to sell beer. I did that for 3 years, but I was really looking for a new career. And so I thought to myself, what would be a career that would allow me to drink beer and play golf? So, of course, I got into real estate, right? And I've been doing that since. 24 years now in the real estate business, always with the same company. We became Coldwell Banker a few years into my career. And I've done it all, guys. I've been an agent. I've been a manager. I was our education director here in Columbus and Cincinnati for 11 and a half years. In that time, I started speaking at Coldwell Banker events and around the country at other state associations and local events. And about 5 years ago, in 2016, guys, I made the decision to leave the job, leave the paycheck, leave the benefits, go back into being an agent, open up my own company called Sean Speaks. And I now coach about 80 of our top agents in Columbus and Cincinnati, and now added in Pittsburgh. So I'm an agent, I'm a coach, and I'm a speaker, kind of all three working off of each other.
Yeah, and a beer drinker and a golfer.
And a beer drinker, a sports fan, you got it.
Never seen a crap beer you would say no to. Although I guess sometimes maybe you don't want to say no to some of them, but
I'd say no to the second one if I didn't like the first one.
Okay, yeah. And then you've been to PA and you've sampled our beers here too. I know that.
I have. I've been to
And our golf
Hawken Brewing Company, and I've tried some of the other Victory and some of the other amazing beers. What's the Nugget Nectar? Who makes that one? Nugget Nectar.
I don't
That's
know.
Is that Trogs?
Trogs. Yeah, there you go.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. Hershey.
Yep.
Very good. Well, on the something old front, what would I'm curious to hear some of this stuff from you actually. On the something old front, what are the things that come to mind?
Yeah, it's funny getting to know you. You talk about something from your past that shaped you.
Yeah.
And it's funny. My father died 21 years ago. He died at age 61, and I think my dad's taught me more since he's been dead than he did when he was alive, because I'm wise enough now to pay attention to the lessons and the wisdom he taught me. My father was the professor of landscape architecture at the Ohio State University and was well known in the industry. Became the president of the American Society of Landscape Architects, which would be like me being president of National Association of Realtors. So he's super well respected. But growing up and watching my dad be a teacher, I never ever wanted to be a teacher. His father, I called him my pop, my dad's dad, was a traveling shoe salesman for Clarks of England and Florsheim shoes. And he was the consummate old school salesperson in the 70s and 80s, drove a big Cadillac, had the whole state of Florida as his territory. And one time I was down visiting him, all of the boys got to go down and stay with Pop for a week. He had beachfront property there in Northeast Florida. And one time I was down there with him, Jeff and Betsy and Madison, and he had to call in some clients. And so he said, "You're going to go with me because I have nowhere else to put you." So he got his little grandson. He said, "I got to get you a suit." So we went and got a little suit. I had a little clip-on tie. I think I was 8 years old maybe at the time. And we drove down to Florida to call in some clients. And I was in charge of rolling in the samples from his Cadillac trunk. And you know what, Jeff and Betsy and Madison, you know what I learned that I didn't realize then, but I know now? He was a master at the relationships. He knew every hotel clerk. He knew every waitress and every diner between Jacksonville and Miami. He knew the storekeeper. He knew their spouse's name, their kids' names. He knew their workers. He was the best. And I never wanted to do what my pop did. And here I am now in their legacy, teaching people how to be salespeople. I get to kind of honor my dad and my pop every day in doing what I do. So that's when you say something old, something from my past that shaped me. I didn't realize it until recently, that I get to do something I never thought I'd be doing, but it's an amazing opportunity to help people build relationships and solve problems and have fun, which has kind of become my philosophy and tagline.
When did you first get that spark or get that positive reinforcement that the idea of teaching others or, imparting wisdom to others from your own brain, if you will, your own creative process? When did you get that first spark? Like, was that as an agent or as a trainer? Before training, probably.
Even before that, probably whether it was in Little League or in high school, certainly in my fraternity at University of Florida, getting into leadership, being a president of my fraternity, being, a vice president, stepping into that leadership role. And then you really realize that when you get people listening to you and following you and learning from you and succeeding because of some things you shared, it just is a cool feeling. And so to be able to teach people, to be able to train people, educate people, it's what we do every day as realtors, isn't it? I mean, every day you're a realtor, you're engaging, you're showing, you're teaching, you're sharing, you're inspiring and educating. And so it's just something I think I've evolved into, and that's why the leadership opportunities to get into management was a good opportunity for me. Much like your managers there in Philly and Central PA, I mean, they're not actively selling anymore, but they are selling every day. They're selling the company, they're selling the industry, they're selling their office, they're selling the tools we have, they're showing up in they're selling the business every day. And so I think if I can do that every day, if I can, like I said, impact somebody a little bit more because of something they learned from me today, whether it's an idea, information or some inspiration, then I feel like it's been a good day.
I agree with that. So on the something new front, what are you working on? What's exciting?
I've been coaching a lot of our top agents, and I like to call it consulting guys, because I think a lot of our top agents, they got where they're at because it's not because they were told to make phone calls or knock on doors. So I like to bring the creativity and the ideas and consult with them about thinking about their business a little differently, how they can grow, how they can become more efficient, how they can become more effective. So that's just fun listening to, 80 to 100 agents, each doing their business their own way. But I love, my philosophy: build relationships, solve problems, and have fun. It's something I like to share with people because it's so simple, right? New agents, they're so focused on getting listings and getting buyers and getting referrals. But if they just do those three things every day, build relationships, solve problems, and have fun, the buyers, the listings, the referrals happen. They show up. And so if I can help people do that in some small way, then that's fun. So sharing those ideas, the 4-H Club, Jeff, if I can talk about that, because it's something new that I'm sharing, but it's something old I've been doing, and it's just a system that I use to stay in touch, just to earn that top of mind awareness from my customers, my clients, and my community, right? The 4-H Club is something I developed when I got back into sales. I like to think of what we do as agents is like a farmer. A farmer doesn't just wake up one day and decide to be a farmer and then tomorrow they have a crop. They have to work their field. They have to put seeds in the ground. They have to fertilize and water and be patient. And so each day, if I can do what I call the 4-H Club, I can act like a farmer. And the 4 H's are H, handwritten notes. I write 5 handwritten notes a day to people in my sphere of influence and clients and people in my community. I do the hot sheet is the second H. I look at my local MLS and see the coming soons, the new listings, the end contracts, the price changes, the closings. And if I know somebody that lives around that property, I give them a call or send them a text to let them know about that property. The third H is happy birthdays. I reach out to my friends who are having birthdays today, and I just look on Facebook to see which of my friends are having birthdays, and I send them a message.
I got one last week from you.
And if they're close friends, they're going to get a video text message, right? And then my last H is what I call my high fives. 5 likes on Facebook, 5 comments on Facebook, 5 retweets on Twitter, 5 comments on Instagram, and 5 text messages. Just a way for my name to get in front of somebody's top of mind awareness. Now think about this, guys. If I do that every day, first thing in the morning, 5 handwritten notes, let's say 2 hot sheets today, 13 birthdays on Facebook, and then my 25 touches, that's 45 touches. 45 touches with people before 9 o'clock in the morning, hearing Sean Carpenter's name go across the top of their mind, across their screen, into their mailbox. And if I do that enough, that's going to turn into somebody thinking about me when they or someone they know thinks about real estate. Whether it's next week, next month, or next year, I don't really care. I just, and I do it first thing in the morning. And you know why, guys? The cool thing about real estate is it's different every day. The bad thing is it's different every day. And so if you don't have systems in place in this business, you're going to get left behind. So absolutely. I put seeds in the ground every day, first thing in the morning, and then I go about the rest of my day, my showings, my meetings, my clients, my appointments, whatever it might be.
Do you have any particular process for the handwritten notes? I'm sure people listening will be thinking in the back of their mind, like, how does he do that? Is it like stamps and labels, or is he handwriting the label, the address, and he's going from a CRM system? What is he using there? I mean, it sounds complicated.
Such a great question, Jeff. And it really, I mean, I live inside my CRM. It is my dashboard of my business. So I just go in there and I think of who are the people that I need to reach out to. I'll tell you what, the easiest handwritten note to write, guys, is a thank you note. A thank you note. Because it writes itself, right? So really start your day by saying this. Who in my life yesterday do I need to send a thank you note to? Maybe there's none. But if you have a couple, thank you notes are easy. I go to the dollar store and I get just generic blank cards, right? You can see some I'm holding up on the screen here. There's some smiley faces. Here's some exclamation points. I go on vistaprint.com and I order some cards with my slogan on it. These are just blank cards on the inside. I have one like this on Vistaprint. It says, today's going to be awesome. And it says, build relationships, solve problems, and have fun. It's got my name on the back. So I will send branded cards. I will send Coldwell Banker cards, but these are personal cards.
Yeah.
So the dollar store has these cards you can get, 8 to a packet for $1, because I just want it to be personalized. And to the point of your question, Jeff, what do I say? Don't overthink it. If you walked into Costco or Wawa or the local church or your kids' schools this afternoon and ran into somebody you hadn't seen in a while, you'd say, Betsy, hey, how are you? How's the family? Are you guys healthy? Any vacations coming up this spring? What are the kids doing for trick or treat? What are the kids doing this summer? Right? Congratulations on the Sixers making the playoffs. Whatever it might be, just it's literally a conversation in words. And then I just hand address them, big letters, stamped, address label, send. Don't overthink it. Send it. Listen, all three of us know, four of us know, when we go home today and check our mailbox, if there's 6 things in there and one's a handwritten note, what are you going to open first? The handwritten note all day long, every day. Betsy's going to read it. She's going to leave it on the counter for her spouse or partner to see. She might have a junk drawer or a little basket where she keeps her special handwritten notes that she gets from people. Guys, it's a easy thing to do. It just takes a little time, but most things that work take time.
I can tell you, I don't have a folder for it. So yes, it will stick out on my table or my desk or someplace in my kitchen until I have the nerve to throw it away a couple weeks later. But because I don't have a place for something like that, because I don't get it every day, it's going to stay somewhere where I can see it for a while.
You know, the neat thing about it, Betsy, for me is when I send it, if I send, 5 a day, that's 25 a week going out into people's mailboxes across the country, some local, some statewide, some national. But usually at least a couple times a month, someone's going to receive it. They're going to pull their phone out, snap a picture of it, and they're going to go on social media and say, Sean Carpenter walks the walk and talks the talk. I love getting handwritten notes from Carp. And 4 or 5 people in the comments will say, got one from him last week. Oh, I love Sean Carpenter's handwritten notes. It's almost like reinforcing that I need to keep doing it. And then people see it. It's just like Jeff talking about, I got your video message last week for my birthday, right? And how many video messages did you get, Jeff?
1.
1.
I got a lot of phone. Actually, this year I had people calling me and hanging up. They're saying happy birthday and hanging up. And I could tell from the caller ID, they were agents, it was cute. They didn't want to waste time giving me a long message, but they wanted to make sure that I heard them. So that's cool.
That's awesome.
All right, cool. So on the something borrowed front, things that you've gleaned from others that feed you. I'm really curious to hear who feeds Carpenter, who feeds everybody else, it seems like. So, what are the things that you get filled up by?
Yeah, I'm a huge podcast consumer. I spend a lot of time in my car driving back and forth to Cincinnati or out showing properties or, when I exercise. So I feed myself with lots of podcasts. Probably the one I'll recommend to your audience that everyone should be paying attention to is the Real Estate Sessions from my friend Bill Risser, over 300 episodes. Bill interviews. Bill used to be with a title company. Now he's with a agent referral a company that it's called Rate My Agent. But he interviews like a leader in the business, a top agent, someone in the industry, gets their backstory, kind of like what you guys are doing here, gets their, what they're doing now. But at the end of every episode, his signature question is, what advice would you give to someone just starting their business? And there's been 300 episodes, and I don't think there's been 300 of the same. There hasn't been repeats of any of the answers because it's all kind of unique. And so that's a great one.
What was yours? What was yours on your interview? I know you interviewed with him. What was your
so I've been in there,
advice to new agents?
I've interviewed a couple times. I think I was episode 5, and back then it was build relationships, solve problems, and have fun.
Yeah.
But I I think also episode 100, and he asked me to give a different one. And can I share with you what is my new advice for new agents?
Please.
Make more mistakes. It sounds counterintuitive, but what I tell people is so many agents are afraid to make any mistakes that they don't do anything. And listen, Jeff, if it's not illegal or lethal, do it. Because you're probably going to be able to fix it, right? You're not going to on purpose do something wrong. But most people are so afraid to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing or click the wrong button on a website. You're not going to break your MLS. So print stuff out and figure out, I should have done it a different way. Print out a report and you're like, oh my God, I printed 130 pages. I was just trying to print one. Well, guess what? You now know to go 1 page, not 132, right? So making more mistakes is the way that you learn. That's how life works, right? Everyone who's a parent listening to this or watching this, you're a better parent with your second kid than you were with your first kid. Because you just know what to do. You know what to expect. You know what's really an issue and what's not an issue. You know when your baby's really awake or when they're just crying because they're rolling over, right? And so I think we become better agents. Just like Jeff, you and I become better writers the more we write, right? Go back and read some of our
What's that
early
Jeff
stuff.
Zuckerberg expression? Fail hard, fail often, or something like that.
Yeah, right.
We used to have that in a wall of our office, in the old marketing office. Cool.
I like that.
So what's that podcast again? Just for our audience.
So it's
And
called
I'll
the
put
Real
the show
Estate
notes.
Sessions. The Real Estate Sessions is a great one. And then there's one by a couple guys there in Philly. I think they're in King of Prussia. It's called Stay Paid Podcast. They're the guys from Reminder Media Company. And they have real estate agents, lenders, insurance company, a lot of this, customer to customer business, like we're in the C to B or B to C, I guess it's called, but they have some great agents, and Tom Ferry's obviously a great one. It's very specific, hyper local to our business. And I listen to a lot of real estate podcasts. I listen to a lot of business, like marketing podcasts, from people like Nick Westergaard. Who else I listen to? Just things that just make me think differently. Brian Buffini. Guys, we focus so much on real estate because it's what we do. But the consumer doesn't think about real estate 24/7 the way we do. So what we need to do is we need to learn from Starbucks and Apple and Panera and Coca-Cola and the things that consumers touch every day and say, how can I create a Starbucks-like experience for my customers and clients, right? How can I read books that will feed me on my brain, whether it's, personal growth books, whether it's sales books. My favorite book I'll recommend, QBQ. QBQ stands for the question behind the question.
Okay.
Book, and it's by John Miller. You can find it on Amazon or wherever books are sold. Guys, I've read that book every New Year's Eve for the last 18 years now. It's about personal accountability. And this business we call real estate is nothing but personal accountability. It's about showing up and doing the work. It's about building the relationships and solving the problems and having the fun and earning that top mind awareness. Guys, I've read that book 18 years in a row. I know all the jokes at the end of the chapters. I know the punchlines. I can almost, tell you the chapter list verbatim. But each year I give myself that dose of personal accountability to remind myself I can't blame people. I can't procrastinate. I can't be pessimistic. And I can't, be a victim for my outcome of my life.
That's good. I like that. All right. So something blue.
Something blue man,
here.
what are
your, tell us a little, what's your CB thought for the interview here? Something particularly tool wise or memories or, how being part of CB. You said that you were at a company before CB, but you've been with CB the whole time, as have I. What's your thought there?
Well, I'll tell you what, I love this company. I love this brand, since 1906. This company's been helping buyers and sellers, earning the trust. Listen, there's 5 T's I talk about with Coldwell Banker, right? The first one is tradition. There's no company in the country that's been around since 1906 doing what we're doing. The second T is teamwork, right? You guys have amazing offices there in Philly and Central PA working together, right? All those agents are one big brand. They're not a bunch of little independent people fractured out across your marketplace. The third T is tools, right? Nobody has better tools, and tools tie in with technology, right? We're a company that's constantly, setting the course for new technologies and podcasts and webinars and, electronic buyer presentations and listing presentations and things like My Deals and MoxieWorks and things like that. And the last one, guys, I'll be honest, I'm biased because I was in it for years, but training. Think about the training that you guys offer there in Philly and Central PA. Talk to agents that are listening to this. When you talk to your next seller, say to them, look, you're probably considering other companies to list their house with. Let me tell you why I chose to work with Coldwell Banker. It's because of the 5 T's, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. It's about tradition. It's about teamwork. It's about technology and training and tools. And that's why you want to have a Coldwell Banker agent represent you, because I've got all those and more to help you make better decisions. The brand thing I want people to pay attention to, Jeff, is GenBlue. Whenever that event is held, whether it's a little GenBlue, like a micro GenBlue in your town, or a company event, or the big branded GenBlue, get there and build relationships and solve problems and have fun with other agents around the globe. So you can now just go beyond your neighborhood. You become a global agent, right? Local traditions, global connections. That's what Coldwell Banker does for me. And that's why I'm always, always, always going to be at a GenBlue conference.
Yeah, probably speaking too, I imagine.
Probably speaking. Yep. I just found out I'm going to be at the Coldwell Banker leadership event in Boston coming up this April. So if anyone who's listening to that is attending that event, come by and see me, give me a shout out.
Very cool. Well, Sean, it's been great catching up with you. You know, I have a lot of things to put in the show notes based on the last couple of minutes. So thank you for that. And I think that we want to also know where people can find you that are listening to this. You know, how do they find you online? You mentioned you had a blog, I think, and the conversation we had beforehand.
So easy way to get in touch with me is just my name, SeanCarpenter.com. That's going to take you to my blog, which is carpscorner.net. I've been blogging, Jeff, for over, let's see,
at least
almost 20
at least
years.
20 years, because you were blogging when I was blogging as an agent in like 2004 or something like that.
Yeah. I'm at 1,128 blog posts. All right. I blog every Monday. It's going to go right to your inbox if you go to my blog site and subscribe. It's called my Monday Morning Match. It's just designed as a story, an article, a thought, a quote, a video that I saw that's just designed to spark a little match into your week to inspire you to have an awesome week. Last week's post kind of always works back to real estate, but it was about Pebble Beach Pro-Am, right? I talked about playing that great course, and every time I see it on TV, it reminds me, I remember every shot of that day. And what are the things in our business that remind us of great clients and great prospecting techniques and great things? And so I blog there. You can connect with me on social. There's no better way to build relationships, solve problems, and have fun than social media, because I can do it further and faster and freer than I could one door at a time here in Columbus. So you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Carp. I'm all over the socials. And
what's your favorite? I'm just curious. What's your favorite social?
I think
today,
if I had
2022, looking forward.
Twitter.
Still Twitter after all these years.
Me too.
I love the fast pace of it, right? I love the fact that I can, in one stream, I can listen to athletes and comedians and fellow agents and people I don't know and get a good chance to understand humor and you know, compassion and knowledge and things like that. Certainly Instagram and Facebook are kind of one and the same, just different versions of the same thing. I love the fast pace of Twitter. I love that, you know, the old saying, no man can stand in the same river twice, for he's not the same man and it's not the same river. That's what Twitter is. That's what Twitter is. It's constantly changing.
And for me, I feel like I'm being knocked over by the flow in Twitter. It's so fast paced. Well, Sean, it's been great. Thank you very much for catching up. Hope you have a great 2022. And, you know, we'll definitely be linking to all your stuff and look forward to having you out here next time.
Awesome, guys. As I always say, keep building relationships, solving problems, and having fun.
All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Well, that was a lot of fun. Sean never disappoints, in my opinion. Every time I talk to him, I feel like I learned something. He's one of those people that I think truly expands your mind when you interact with him. Really like that about Mr. Carpenter. SeanCarpenter.com, for those of you that didn't hear that in the interview. But, you know, guys, what'd you think? Tell us what are your big takeaways there. I don't know where to start.
Awesome. He's great. That was my first time really ever talking to him or hearing what he has to say. And he's full of energy, and it had me excited after talking to him. So I enjoyed the conversation a lot.
Yeah, and I had heard him talk about the 4-H club before, but it's a great refresher. And so that was my big takeaway. Like I love that. And what were the 4-H's again, Madison? It was
handwritten notes, happy birthdays,
yep.
High fives on social media, and checking your hot sheet update.
I mean, what a great idea. Check your hot sheet and look for, look for listings that come on the market for people that are in your sphere of influence and reach out to them and that kind of thing. That was great. And I love the fact that he compared it to a farmer who doesn't just go out and harvest his crop. He has to plant seeds. So that's the 4-H club. And talking about doing it first thing in the morning before you get busy with other things. So before you've even started your day, what did he say? It was like the 4 H's. I don't know
30.
how many of each. It was like 40, 50 contacts before you've even started your day.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought that was brilliant, really. And I was thinking during the whole time, like, wow, like I hope that our agents are listening and are hearing this in their cars, like, wow, like what a great idea. I was going through my head when we were talking to him. But yeah, and not only like are those like little touches happening like, early in the morning, like he suggested, but they really are significant touches. Like the handwritten notes, of course, obviously is like super personal. And like you said, Betsy, in the interview, how you keep them around your house. You still want to throw them away because they're personal. But not only that, but when he talked about the Facebook or, social media aspect of it and having those little touches, and, congratulating someone or liking something and engaging with a post. I mean, those little things really do make a difference on social media, and you don't realize it. Like, you might post your listing or post a cool post with your family, but when you actually go in and engage on
Yeah.
on social media, then it really makes a whole difference on how other people engage with your account as well. So that
And I
was
would
awesome.
add on that to Twitter conversation bit, it got me really thinking because when I was an agent, Twitter was very successful for me. And, at the time, this is like 08, 07-ish, whatever, I would follow people in my town. I would follow the elected officials, business owners, whatever I could find that was just in my town. Like I wasn't looking at national stuff at all. And then and the nice thing is you can respond to their tweets, and then they see that you responded to their tweets. And it becomes very personal.
Mhm.
And very likely if they're paying attention, they're gonna like that you comment on their tweet or whatever. And so for me at the time, that was a great way to just direct connect with people that didn't know me through social media. And it was just interesting that he said that that was his favorite social channel, because I haven't really thought about Twitter, like really thought about it in probably 5 years or more or something like that. So totally agree.
Yeah, no, that was awesome. I like that part a lot.
Yeah, and
Um,
I think that what you said about what you put out in social media. So many times agents say to me, "What do I post on social media? What do I post on social media?" And I just say, "What are you saying on social media? How are you listening on social media?
Hmm,
It's not just talking
like
on
that.
social media.
that's a
It's
good point.
listening
It's
and
good.
engaging. And when you think about it as terms of happy birthdays and high fives, that's easy to do. And I love the video message. Now you won't do that with everybody, but those people who I remember doing that with a friend one time after the last time Sean I listened to Sean, and one of my friends I hadn't seen in a while, I sent her a video message, and I think I did it at Christmas time too. And I think that's cool. It's different. You'll probably be the only person who reaches out to someone and wishes them a video happy birthday. So I,
Mhm.
I thought that was great.
Yeah,
Just about anybody can do that.
for sure. And you remember that. I mean, Jeff, you'll remember that when you know that Sean did that. Like it stays in your brain.
Yeah,
Those
and it's funny
awesome things.
because we've all met with agents many times, and agents want the automated solution that will post something that they don't have to interact, but that's really antithetical to social media as a concept, like why it exists. And what Sean has done is he's decided in his mind to make social something that he engages with using the parameters within social media, like the video and the birthdays, stuff that's in social media. And he's not worried about posting, you know, any kind of a fancy image or a Canva or something like that. He doesn't quite do any of that. He just gets in and engages with people. He shakes hands with people. And I just love that approach to social because it's like, yeah, it's work, but it pays off.
Yeah, the other thing I like about that is, once you have a system down like he does, I mean, he didn't say how long it takes him in the morning, but I doubt it takes him more than an hour. And he's probably doing it with a cup of coffee. And he has his system set up with his cards here, and he goes on social media and he does he runs his hot sheet while he's doing this. And I mean, once you systematize that, you're talking about maybe an hour a day of it's really prospecting, is planting seeds. And if you plant 40 seeds a day, 365 days a year, I can't do that math in my head, but that's a lot of contacts, and it's not that difficult. It does take time, but everything takes time, and heck, it's better than door knocking, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. It's the system that you develop that you get used to that I mean it can be seen as maybe like a chore in the morning, but eventually it doesn't seem that way. Really, it's work. I mean, you're doing your job. You're doing what
Yeah.
you're supposed to be doing, but you're doing it before 9 a.m. And
Yeah. The other thing that I really liked about that is like for Sean, that's really authentic for him. Like it's not hard for him. That's who he is. So agents might need to tweak that for themselves. Um, you know, the handwritten notes, maybe it's going to look different for them how they do that, but I also like the way you got really practical and got down to you go to the dollar store, you get the card. So it takes all the question out of it. But how you do your happy birthdays and what you write in your notes might be different than other people, and it has to feel authentic to you. So you can't just 100% take Sean Carpenter and do it. You're going to put your own flavor and your own personality on it so it feels authentic. But it's a great place to start. I thought it was great.
Totally agree. He was awesome.
Never, like you said, Jeff, never disappoints.
Yeah. And I like the last thing I would say is I liked where he closed, where he said, make more mistakes. I think that, that's a big thing, is that a lot of people don't try, and we just watched Star Wars, my daughter and I, and Yoda, right? What does Yoda say? There is no
try.
There's only do.
There's only
right?
do.
I'm like silent during that part.
Oh my gosh.
I thought that's what you were referring to. There is no try, there's only do. But yeah, I thought that was good too.
But,
that's a good
I
note to
think
end
that
on.
the doing of things creates mistakes, right? I mean, you do things that don't work, but don't give up. Do try something else, chalk it up to effort. So very good. Well,
no, go ahead. It's fine.
Any final thoughts?
Well, I was gonna say, I liked how he didn't just say, oh, make more mistakes, and that's almost gonna be somewhat of a generic response to things nowadays. But the way he was approaching it, I thought was super unique. Where he was saying, like, there's a lot of agents out there who are just constantly playing it safe, and you don't know what you can or can't do if you don't take these little risks. And you never, he said these words, you never intentionally want to do something wrong, but you'll never know unless you try some things. And I think that was really, that's good advice for life in general.
Interesting. Well, I guess we learned a little bit today. Hopefully you guys did too, listening. So if you did, let us know. Send us a message, leave a comment on the video, on stream here. The show notes will all be below this in the stream channel and on our discussion. And we look forward to bringing you somebody next. So thanks everybody, and thanks for joining us in the Blue Zone.